Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our daily word this morning. It's another week. We didn't gather yesterday. As you know, I was in Columbus all day. I'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes. So glad you could join me for our time together as we continue our journey through our daily word and what it means for us and excuse me, how we apply it to our lives. So today is daily word number 670. So, as always, I appreciate you carving out time to be with me, to set it aside these few minutes every day, whether it be in the moment or later in the week or in the day, to join me. Thanks for always saying good morning. I appreciate that. Letting me know that at least somebody is still watching as we journey together. So this morning I've chosen this text from 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verses 7 through 12. And these are interesting words that are shared with us by the letter to the church in Corinth about their lives and how it just so applies to our lives as we live them in these days. And so we hear these words. But we have this treasure in clay jars, so that it may be made clear that this extraordinary power belongs to God and does not come from us. We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed, always carrying around in the body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be made visible in our bodies. For we who are living are always being handed over to death for Jesus' sake, so that the life of Jesus may also be made visible in our mortal flesh. So death is at work in us, but life in you. So yesterday I spent my day in Columbus with a person, many of you know if you're watching, who had a very delicate, serious, life-saving surgery to repair an aneurysm that had grown rather large. And so I was there for that surgery. Had to be changed at the last minute. The approach had to be changed at the last minute, but a surgery that was going to take 6 hours only took 4. And the doctor was extremely pleased about the outcome of it. And so now, after that kind of surgery, the healing is the most difficult part of the process. But I got there yesterday, and if you've been to the Ross Hart Hospital at Ohio State, there's a parking garage there. And so I kept going around and going around and going around. I eventually made it all the way to the top in the open air, the 8th floor, and there was a parking space. So I parked there and got on the elevator, and down I went with a bunch of folks. And you have to walk, not very far, but you have to walk. And so there were some kind folks who were concerned about me going down the steps because they saw how I was walking. So they didn't say a word, but they just walked beside me down the steps. I appreciated that. And then they went left and said, "Have a nice day," as we made our way. Well, there are all kinds of folks there. It's a very busy place, not just there, but the entire complex of this Ohio State University medical system. Another person who we love in church is having surgery on Wednesday. And just yesterday morning, I get a text from a person I'm close to. She said, "Hey, Jim, just wanted to let you know that they had their youngest child in children's for a variety of issues. And so I felt the burden of that for them, this young family. And so I got to thinking about all of that and my own personal stuff, the struggle that I have walking and all that stuff. And I got to thinking about all of that in relation to Scripture and what God says to us, about our lives, about our bodies. I'll say this first, though. After the surgery, of course, you get to talk to the doctor. So we went in the room and waited, and in comes this really young doctor. She is not very big, but boy, she's so confident, and she just explains stuff very clearly. And said, look, I fixed this. It's an amazing thing. and they're sewing him up. He'll be in ICU pretty soon. You know, you can see him there, and then it's an incredible thing. And we had a conversation afterwards about the things that they can do now surgically in the day we're living in that we couldn't do. And I got to thinking about that in light of our lives and this scripture. We have this treasure in clay jars so that it may be made clear that this extraordinary power belongs to God and not to us. Our clay jars, our bodies. We understand how fragile they are, don't we? We've all had our moments of fragileness in our lives where our bodies don't cooperate as they should. We've had surgeries, broken bones, and all kinds of things happen in our lives. It's this reminder that while we're not designed to be fragile, so that we can be reminded about our breakages and then be called to be humble. But we're reminded that we really are these clay jars, and that we probably should adjust our attitude and our perspective, that one of the blessings in our lives is that indeed we have these clay jars. But then we're reminded that we have these remarkable people. I've known doctors, have doctors, therapists, the name goes on, and the doctor yesterday, remarkable, who can do these amazing things with these clay jars of ours. God's reminding us, I think, in this text, that we get a glimpse of the glory of God that's placed inside of our jars. And its abundance, and its love, and its grace, and its mercy, and its peace, and its skill of doctors, and its forgiveness, and its hope, and its courage. And even when our clay vessels are damaged and they need fixed, they find amazing ways to be healed. But here's the thing that I think is important for us to always remember in our lives. We have this treasure in clay jars. We get that. We're fragile. But then it says this, so that it may be made clear that this extraordinary power belongs to God and does not come from us. We're afflicted, we're not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed. And I think for us in our daily journey, in our struggles, in our aging, in all the things that we have in our lives, it's good to be reminded that our clay jars and what's inside of us, what's been filled by the awesome power of God, comes from God. It's God who strengthens us and encourages us, and fortifies us, if you will. And it's in these moments that we get a glimpse of the glory of God that's placed inside this clay jar that's you and that's me. And so I left there yesterday marveling at the confidence and competence of this young doctor. She was just amazing. And this reminder all around us, even in my own personal struggles, trying to walk, which I'm really struggling with today. This reminder that for us, it's God. We're God's. This is God's. This clay jar is God's. And it's filled with God's presence. And so I hope that for you and for me, that's a word that we can hold on to, that will sustain us and encourage us in all of our days as we live them. So, thanks for joining me. Thanks for always being with me. Thanks for your prayers always for me and as for the folks that you know about in our lives who are are recovering now and are facing surgeries in the days to come. Know of God's love that surrounds you. Know of my love for all of you. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Have a great day, my friends.